Rahubat, Rahubat. We are back. We are back. We are back with more Wu-Sabat. We are back. We are back. We are back with more Wu-Sabat. Rahubat. Wow. What's today? Today is July 29th, 2025. First time we're live. No one has arrived as of yet, but that's okay because people haven't seen me live for a while. But we're live today on Tuesdays as usual, 7 p.m. We will be live on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, East Coast Time. What I'm saying, Central East Coast Time, Eastern Standard Time, not Central Standard Time. That we're back, and we have to be back with more Wu-Sabat. I want to do these Tuesday discussions. Really want to focus on the culture and questions and answers to dealing with the culture of Wu-Sabat. It's extremely, extremely important. I know today I posted we're going to talk about the master teacher's case in regards to Puff Daddy's case, in regards to even R. Kelly's case, in regards to Bill Cosby's case, because all of these cases are really the same thing. There's a pattern when it comes to Black leaders, when it comes to influential Black people. There's a pattern with these types of cases. It's not really, it hasn't just been Black people, because these cases have been utilized. These tactics by the government has been utilized against any organization that they deem a threat, or an individual they feel a threat or they have a problem with. They use these certain laws, these RICO laws, which all should know. For those who do not know, these laws were designed for organized crime, mafia, right? But they're using these laws against individuals. Dr. York was an individual they used the law against. We didn't have an organized criminal organization. Puff Daddy, same thing. When you look at his case, he didn't have an organized criminal organization. Even in R. Kelly, he didn't have an organized criminal organization, but they used that law to go after these individuals. And the reason why they do it is because of the fact that once they get you under these laws, they can take everything from you. They can drain you of all your resources. That's the methodology why they're using these particular laws. Even though that law doesn't apply to individuals, it applies to an actual organization. But they've been utilizing it against individuals. So we definitely want to talk about that. But real quick, for those who do not know me, my name is Petty Sina Tebtu Ure, and I've been now it's going on a 36-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Panabab Yananan. In fact, let me fix my screen because I don't think I'm sharing anything, so you guys can see my screen. I want to share. Let's see it here. Let's share. Okay. Now people can see me sharing the screen, so that should be better, and it should be clear. Yeah, I'm sharing the screen now. So again, we're back, and we're going to be back on Tuesdays, and we're going to focus on the culture, the doctrine in detail, because of the fact that I think, and I know, people are having a hard time comprehending the doctrine. And I've been talking about this now since I've been doing these discussions. Trying to do my best to help students along the path. And because I've been dealing with this for over 3 decades now, I've seen it. I've seen how much students don't comprehend in this doctrine. And one of the things that has motivated me to say, I got to do these lives again. I got to do these lives is because, there was an update that came out. And let me pull it up so you guys can see it. This right here. To all true Nawapians of Wu-Sabat, January the 8th, 2025. And it's focused on culture. And so this is an update by way of the master teacher, who was concerned about the fact that those who call themselves Nawapians or Sabians are really not adhering to the culture. Now, that's not a new complaint for the master teacher. He's been talking about that issue with us, unfortunately, from the beginning, that we really are not adhering to the culture that we claim we represent. And, in my personal experience in dealing in the culture, living, being in the community and being a part of the culture for all of this time, a lot of people don't comprehend the culture, unfortunately. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Even though individuals will call themselves Nawapians or they'll call themselves Sabians, they're having a very difficult time with the comprehension. Now, there are many reasons for that. And I'm not too concerned about the reasons for it, but I am concerned about how to fix it. We have to fix it. And part of that, of helping, at least me trying to do my part, is to teach. And, my discussions, if anyone really paid attention to my lectures that we've been doing now, it's going on, 9 years. Since 2016 is when we posted our first, video on YouTube. My main goal really was to educate Nawapians, to educate Sabians, to help them really comprehend the doctrine, especially because of the negative attacks of ex-students of the doctrine who were saying a lot of negative and disagreeable things, just, lies, outright lies. And so this has been my concern to say, okay, let me do these discussions to help students really comprehend the doctrine. That's been, really main focus of mine, because it's very important. It's very important. The last thing we want is individuals to basically distort the doctrine, which I am seeing that, unfortunately. I'm seeing quite a bit of that. And when the master, moves or transitions from this realm into the higher realms, he won't be here, right? Because he won't be here forever. The master teacher now is 80 years old. And so he will be leaving us soon. And the last thing we need is for the doctrine to get corrupted while he's gone. And of course, there are forces that will and are going to try to do that. There are forces that are doing it now. But the only way that won't happen, and the only way we can fight that off, if individual students of this doctrine make it clear to the world what our doctrine is, why it's important, the work that the master teachers put in, the importance and significance of that work, and how to help others really comprehend the doctrine, the culture, so that it can be applied and we can see the results that we're striving for, which is ultimate result is liberation from adverse forces. That's what Dr. York has spent his life doing since the 60s, fighting adverse forces we call Leviathan, or we call six ether, or six, or negative spirit beings. That's what we're at war against. That's what's plaguing the planet. That's why the planet it's so negative, and everyone is so negative. Humans are negative, and our people, unfortunately, are very negative. Black people all over the world. We suffer from, extreme levels of self-hate. And you see all over America, you see it all over the continent, you see it in the Caribbean, black people killing black people. And that's the last thing you need when we're fighting a real serious war of racism, white supremacy, where the white man pushes this concept that he's God and convinced our people to worship them as God, convinced our people to serve them, work for them, slave for money. You know, we're constantly, you know, especially us Black Americans, we're consumers. So all we do is make money, spend money, make money, spend money. We get money from the Mukasu, and then we take that same money he gives us and we spend it right back with him, and we have nothing to show for it. You know, so we're in total control. You know, and we're supposed to be a sovereign, liberated people, but we're not. And this is why the culture of Wu-Sabat is here. The culture of Wu-Sabat is here to educate us on how to be a free people. But there's a you know, prerequisite to that. There's a keys to that, and the doctrine the master teacher laid out what it takes to be free, to be a liberated people. It's a quote that I like to talk about all the time. And here I have the cultural principles of Wu-Sabat. And there was a quote the master had, or something he wrote back in the 70s in the series of books called the Nine Ball Part 1. The very last paragraph, and I love quoting it. I've done it many times in my lectures. And I'm going to read it again. The quote, it says, all power begins in the mind, be it political, economic, military, or scientific, because the body is just a framework and tool for the mind. Therefore, the prime power is mind power, from which all other powers develop and mature, including the power of liberation. Then he says, nine ether develops nine knowledge. Nine ether develops nine reason, and nine reason develops nine knowledge, and nine knowledge develops nine mind power, which is a prerequisite to Wuli, Here, Nagato, mental and physical liberation. So that's a very extraordinary, powerful statement if one can comprehend it. And for all of those who might have read this statement, I don't know if we really comprehend this statement. Now I'm going to read it again. This is a quote. All power begins in the mind. Do you hear that? I'm going to say it again. All power begins in the mind. The only reason why anyone has power is because they use their intellect to gain that power. So white people, what we call Mukasu, the reason why they have the power they have is because of how they use their consciousness, the way they made decisions to achieve that power, right? And so what we're saying is, in order to counter their power, you have to have a higher level or degree of decision-making ability. That's the only way to counter another power, which is mental. All power is dealing with the mind, how they make decisions. Now, of course, we know they like using tactics like warfare. They're using their mind for warfare. They use their mind to create an environment of lust, which is what capitalism is all about, you know, and they use their mind to create religious dogma. So they use all types of strategies to get power. And so what we're saying is that you have to use your mind to counter their tactics, to offset those tactics. That's the only way one could get liberation. And so what we're saying is that we, as the children of nine ether, we have a high science, a high mental science. We have the highest mental science of all existence if we can accept the culture. And this is what the master teacher has been telling us. We have not truly embraced the culture. And if we don't embrace the culture, which is the science of Nuwapu, which can counter the Mukasu's culture of Leviathan, That is how we get liberation. But if we don't really embrace the culture, then we can't overcome Leviathan. And that's why, I'm dedicated and want to focus on having these discussions, because of the simple fact that we really don't, how can I say, I think we're having a hard time. A lot of students are having a hard time comprehending the culture. If you're really a true Nawapian. Now, that's the other thing. A lot of people may call themselves a Nawapian. They call themselves a Sabaean, but the question is, are they really true? Now, and I've seen a lot of individuals in my time who claim to be this and be into this culture, but they're really not, unfortunately. They, sometimes I think think they're like in some kind of I don't know, social program or something, something to do, to hang out. You got people who go to church for that, just for community gatherings, to be around other people, but they don't really read the Bible. They don't follow none of the things in the Bible and things like that, although they call themselves that. Muslims, you got people call themselves Muslims, but they don't follow none of the tenets of Islam or anything like that. And unfortunately, we have, I believe, a lot of Nawapians like that. They're not really trying to comprehend the doctrine. They just are part of a group. And so obviously what I'm doing is not for them. I'm looking for the individuals who are really into the culture, who really want to embrace the culture, because it doesn't take a lot of us to make a difference. It really doesn't. It does not take a lot of us to make a difference. If we can get a core group together. This is something that, one of the things I talk about when I go into my core principles that I talk about. It's like this I say here, this doctrine is based on self-authentication, right? Know that we are not preachers, but teachers who are dedicated to answering questions until there's a meeting of the minds between teacher and student, who then can work in unity, which is the only solution to our problems. Only unity will solve our problems, right? We succeed as a part of all, we fail as individuals. And so in my long journey in this culture, it's really trying to find students who are really, really, really into the actual culture, who really want to embody the culture, live the culture, follow the ways that the master teachers laid out for us, so that we can work collectively to achieve our goals. And our ultimate goal is liberation, right? Liberation from Leviathan, or what we call adverse forces. That's why I have here our purpose. Number one, we must take action each and every day to free yourself of 6 ether spirits inside and out, which includes Black people who are possessed by these spirits. Now, let's just focus on that statement right there. Our people are possessed by 6 ether. That's why we're so negative to that. So obviously, I'm looking for individuals who all of us are, myself included, all of us are dealing with these spirit forces in us. There are no exceptions. If you're on this planet Earth, the third density, you're dealing with these spirit forces. That's why the master teacher, put out the scroll or the Patadak called 30 spirits. For those who, let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see, where are we at? 30 spirits. 30 spirits. We all have positive spirit forces that move through us, but at the same time, we have negative spirit forces that move through us. And those negative spirit forces is what feed our negative behavior patterns, our addictions, is perpetuated by these spirits, and this is the Patadak the master teacher put out, right? 30 spirits, Patadak, 30 spirits, and this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're battling, right? What does he say on paragraph 7? You must bind the 30 spirits that seek to control you, the very voices of your own Salafu ancestors, who lived in the image of the beast, and that Temwat, death, have been trapped in this hell. You must bind them and free them from the realm of hell, that you will be free of their whispers into your ibab or abab heart and akal mind, which affects your very actions each zamem or zamut day of your life. The sawa'u voices who whisper to your inner mind as to what is best to do, what is right to do, and what is good to do. And sawa'u voices who whisper to your inner emotions and desires, what is not best for you and others, what is not right to do, and what is not good for you. The whispers that are agreeable and the whispers that are disagreeable. Your choice. Your will is influenced by the very voices of and in your DNA. What you became after birth, what you accepted as you grew, what you believe you want as opposed to what you need. Your inner voices who whisper to you only wish to fulfill their lifelong desires with your flesh or khatat, your body, to lust their lust, to pleasure as they wish, to be pleased by any and all. So as you can see, family, this is what we're all dealing with. All humans on the planet are dealing with spirit forces, and that is the problem with humanity. Humanity have lost their spiritual consciousness. Nagato, woolly haired people, we've lost our spiritual science, where when our third eye was open, we can see into other realms or other densities, other planes of vibration. We can see what they call ghosts or these spirit forces. And we're able to read energies. So you can read the positive energies of spirits and you knew the negative ones. We've lost that science. The master teacher said we've lost that knowledge. Our third eyes were closed over 6,000 years ago, which was the beginning of the moon cycle. And that's why we've been catching hell ever since, because we can't see the spirit forces. And so we've lost the science, the science of spirits. And that's what's causing all the problems. And this is what Sabians are dealing with. This is why Sabians are having a very difficult time in the culture, staying true to the culture. It's a battle. It's a serious battle. And it affects your reasonability. Spirits affect your ability to process information or to process information, right? The master teacher, wrote this other powerful book that dealt with the same, the subject matter right here. Actual Facts number 109, Genetic Kiss. It's one of the most profound scrolls the master teacher put out on this topic. The science of relationships, of how you should deal with people and how you should not. What individuals you should be involved with, meaning as Nagato, woolly hair melanated people, all existence is vibration. And you supposed to connect with your compatible vibration. So as a black male, his compatible vibration is a black female. For a black female, her compatible vibration is a black male, where you both can be in absolute harmony, which is how nature designed us. When you go with another race represents a different vibration, a different energy. And so because we, Nagato, have the highest of vibration, right? Because we're the originals, we're the first ones on the planet, so we come from a higher frequency. Any other race you get with drops your vibration. You have to drop down to theirs. And when you drop down to theirs, you lose yourself. You lose your consciousness. You lose who and what you are, because you're molding your vibration to theirs, which is what culture does. By us adapting to a foreign culture, we now have to surrender our natural culture, which is Nawapo. We have to give that up and adapt to the foreign culture. So because we're a part of the Western philosophy, we're, under European rulership, we live their culture, right? Their culture is about pimping and hoeing, fast foods, GMOs, going to bars and restaurants and getting drunk, having sex with whoever, whenever, however, altering your bodies, lip injections, butt injections, breast implants, anything. Their whole culture is based on it's synthetic. Basically, they don't connect with natural nature. They're more in harmony with altering nature. So they create a synthetic environment. And when we embrace this culture, we convert ourselves to their synthetic environment. And so you become less than yourself. And that's how you lose your soul. Your soul is your divine mind, which is connected to your emotions, right? Which is moving through your spinal column, how you feel, how you relate to things, how you tap into things. You lose that because we force ourselves to adapt to a foreign culture. So if we move to China and you start adapting their ways, eating their food, dressing like them, talking like them, you alter your vibration, which means you now altering your nature, your natural nature. And that's what disconnects us. And it cuts us off from our ancestors. This is the science the master teachers came to teach. No one else knows this science and is qualified or able to teach this level of science. And our people all over the world trying to figure out why things are so bad for us. Not realizing because we've lost our spiritual science of understanding the forces and energies of nature. We used to understand the importance of that. And why you must be in tune with these forces. But today, we're ignorant. We're painfully ignorant of these forces. So this is what we're dealing with, right? So my job as a student of Wu-Sabat is to do my best to try to educate us, and show people where this high level of knowledge is within our doctrine. There's so many books the master put out, this genetic kiss. Listen to this. He says, paragraph 1, to kiss or caress with your lips, even open your mouth, use your tongue and exchange saliva. Genetics, science dealing with hereditary, variations, reproduction. Related to a gene, the biological factors determining heredity. The heredity tendency of an organism is to transmit its own nature to its descendants, right? So you transfer your genetics to your children, and your children now takes on your spirit force, your personality, your nature, because we're nothing but a composite of our parents. Our parents are composite of their parents. We all have the same genetics. We're passing it down. And so spirit is personality, your personality. So a culture is a personality of a people. So each race represents a specific personality or a specific spirit. And that's why when you go from one nation to another nation, you see that. You see the cultural personality. So if you was to go to Iran, they have a dominant cultural personality, which is the dominant spirit in that land. If you was to go to Mexico, it's the same thing. They have a dominant culture or a culture in that land, which is created by the spirit of the people of that land. And they're in harmony with one another. This is kind of what makes America so different, because America is the so-called melting pot and telling people from all types of cultures and races to come and amalgamate in America. But what they don't tell you is that the culture of the Mukasu, the European, is to feed off of other people's culture, almost like a vampire. It's how they get their power. So they siphon other people's knowledge and they apply it to theirs, and that's how they create their environment and call it their own. So, it's a form of deception, to be honest with you, because that's why the Mukasa will never give equality to any other people. That's why they're having a hard time now with this Trump thing, right? Mega. Because they are sensing that they're losing their country and their culture, their cultural domination. And so they want to make it clear to everyone of other races that live in America that, hey, the dominant culture is European Western culture, Christian culture, and no one is going to come in here and change it. And this is what they're putting out there in society, because that's how they operate. They feed off of others and convert it to theirs. And so you can never have, be equal in a foreigner's culture. That's the key. You can never be equal in a foreigner's culture. So if you was to move to India, you have to submit to their culture. If you move to Argentina, you have to submit to their culture. This is a science our people do not understand. We used to know it back in ancient Kemet, ancient Kush. We used to understand this science. We lost this knowledge, I mean, you would have to go back 4,000 years ago when we really, really understood the science of what I'm saying. But because our third eye shut down, and your third eyes will allow you direct access to the mental reservoir to bring in high levels of intellect and knowledge. And when that was closed off, we don't have direct access to the mental reservoir, and we don't have direct access to our higher spiritual family. So our information base was cut off. And when we were cut off from our higher forces, ignorance and degradation became inevitable. And that's why we're in our predicament today. And so the master teacher came to re-educate us as the reformer. He's the mujaddid, to reform. The teachers, you must restore your spiritual knowledge. And the only way to do that is to open your third eye. The only way to do that is to do the rituals, to clean yourself inside out, as the master teacher keeps telling us. Clean yourself inside out. Stop eating flesh. Stop doing this. Stop doing that. So he put out this update getting on us because we're not doing these things, right? So he says, to all true Nawapians, Wu-Sabat, January the 8th, 2025, culture. I want nothing to do with these women who forgot who we are and how a decent, self-respecting woman should dress in public. As Nawapian Wu-Sabat, one, properly covered, decently, morally, modestly, respectability, modesty again, morally, virtuously, like deities. It says, read Revelations chapter 17, read the Quran chapter 24, verse 31. He says, what happened to you all? Why have you all fallen from grace? You're wearing t-shirts and trousers and tight-fitting outer garments. Nawapians, Wu-Sabat women, thou art loose. Males and females, get back to your divine selves. Amexem women of Ethiopia, they wear shawl over their hair, or the Judites. The Nubian women of Sudan, they have a shawl over their hair. The Kedarites and some Indian garbs. That is us, Sabaeans. At home, dress as you please, yet in the public, please don't slut or flirt or tease. He says, let this be known to all true Nawapians of Wu-Sabat. And that's the key. True Nawapians. For us who really want to live the culture. But the biggest challenge is we're not living as a community anymore. And that is really what has to be rectified. But the key is finding the true Nawapians. And that's what my quest has been since I've been doing these discussions, is finding who are the true Nawapians, who really wants to live the culture, rather than this just being a pastime to them. Unfortunately, our people have been conditioned into joining organizations as a pastime and not really taking it serious. And in that case, you really shouldn't be in something you're not really going to take it serious, especially something as serious as what we're doing, because our whole objective is about the restoration of our soul, restoring souls. This is the challenge. And this is what we're dealing with. So, my job is to try my best to teach the culture, to explain these things to our people. And again, like I said, I'm looking for the true Nawapians who really want to live the culture, not play Nawapi, but really into the culture and how to really utilize the doctrine to get results. Since the master teacher has been taken from us, right, back in 2002, unfortunately, we have not grown. We've grown in doctrine. I will say that. I give a lot of credit to all of those true Nawapians who have been able to put out the doctrine since the master teacher's been gone. Bless them. I bless them. I really bless them. Because boy, do we need this doctrine. But what we have not been able to do is grow in the method of our building abilities, right? And our influence. We don't have the influence we used to have within the Black community in America and around the world. We're shell of ourselves. Now, of course, a lot of it has to do with our fight against the government, the freedom master teacher. That has obviously put a huge monkey wrench in our effort as a tribe, as a nation, And I really understand that. It's no joke. When someone takes your leader, I mean, that affects everyone. But the beauty about our leadership, the master teacher, is he has put his mind, his consciousness in the doctrine. And if we adhere to what he put in the doctrine for us to do, then that knowledge gives us the mental power to make the right decisions to achieve our goals. Freeing the master teacher, making contact with the Nathar, the masters. We would not be missing our pickups, right? The master teacher said, they came in 1993 for our pickup. We were nowhere near ready in 19. He said we weren't ready in 1993. So he's like, okay, they come every 10 years. He talks about that. Where is it? I think it was at this is was it Actual Facts number 23? It might be. If I can find it. Yeah, Actual Facts. This is Actual Facts number 23, page 107. Number one. It is Actual Facts, the Gospel of Yanun, on the Sacred Feminine, right? So this is Actual Facts number 23. And we'll go to 107 again. And let's see, on 107, what does he say? He says here on page, this is page 103, 105. Yeah, 105. Paragraph, let's see, I'll start at paragraph paragraph 147. Paragraph 844. I'll start at the top of the page all the way down to the bottom. Right? So here's this thing about our pickups, right? We're talking about making connection with our ancestors, right? That's another thing. I don't know how many Nawapians really understand the science of that life is everywhere. This disagreeable one, this 6 ether forces trying to make humanity think that life, they only know life to be on planet Earth and they don't know life to be nowhere else. And that's just a horrible lie. And it's sad. Millions, if not billions of people believe that. Silliness. And what's even more weird about it, most of the people are religious on this planet, and they believe that. How can you believe in these religions that keep telling you that you got these interdimensional beings or spirit beings or advanced beings in your religions, and yet you're having a hard time with extraterrestrials? Extraterrestrials is actual fact. That's an actual fact. That's not belief. But people are having a very difficult time with that, because of the mass propaganda to distort or move people away from the reality that life is everywhere throughout the boundless universe and multiverses. But they've done a great job of convincing people or making people think that life isn't everywhere. Who's in my chat? Hold on. I don't know. Something's in the chat. Okay, I didn't. I wasn't sure. I'm sorry. You supported. That's what's up. I didn't know if what was being written. I don't know if it was inappropriate stuff, but I can't. I wasn't focused on what was actually being written, so I apologize. I didn't mean to delete anything. If everything you're saying in the chat is all good, I wasn't really paying that much attention to what was being written because I'm focused on putting this out. But welcome, right? Welcome, right back for showing up. I don't see. I see people listening, but I don't see other people in the chat. People join the chat, right? Ask questions. That's why I'm setting this up. I will be back every Tuesday, 7 p.m. to have a discussion about the culture, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the culture, Wu-Sabat. And my job is to help students, true Nawapians, right? I got to say that, very, very important. I'm here for true Nawapians, right? As the master put it, they put it out. To all true Nawapians of Wu-Sabat. That is what I'm here for. And what is a true Nawapian? One who really strives to live the culture, what the master teachers laid out. That is what I'm here for. The true Nawapians. True Nawapians follow the culture. And we have three primary goals. And let me do that real quick before I read what I was going to read in the actual facts. I talk about this many, many times. If anyone watched my lectures, I've talked about this many, many times. We got three goals the master gave us, right? Three goals of students of Wu-Sabat. Goal number 1, raise the self. Goal number 2, fight Leviathan. And goal number 3, work to build Sabbatia, right? Those are the three goals of a Nawapian. So that's what makes you a true Nawapian, because you're striving towards these goals each and every day. So goal number 1, raise the self. You must be born again, as the Christians teach, by learning the culture of Wu-Sabat and live it, right? Your first goal is to correct your name by choosing a Sabaean name and make it known to all, right? Live who you are. You must correct how you look and dress. That's what the master teacher was getting on in that true Nawapian, rebuke of us, because we're not dressing appropriately. He's talking about you must speak Sabaean, right? So I study Sabaean constantly, but because I'm not with other true Nawapians, the only way a language can really develop if you're speaking it on a consistent basis to others. So I'm looking for the true Nawapians that we can do this with. You must study our doctrine every day, which builds your sound right reasoning skill. the doctrine, right knowledge, is what gives you the ability to make right decisions, so you know what to do and what not to do. If you're really not studying the doctrine, how can you make sound reasoning decisions? So again, this is why I want to be out here every Tuesday helping people with the doctrine, going through the books, book after book. Anyone who knows me, that's what I do. You know? And so where I'm at, next thing. Let's see. You must study our doctrine every day, which builds your sound right reasoning skill. You must practice and master our daily rituals to turn yourself inside out, which opens your third eye and puts you in contact with Panathartal. You have to do the rituals, meditation, concentration, right? The breathing techniques. That's why the master teacher came out with the breathing book. We must eat clean, right? Have a good diet, a positive mind. You can't be a Sabian and you're negative. A true Nawapian is positive, always looking at the solution when you're confronted with a problem. I repeat that again. A true Sabian is positive. They always look at the solution when they're confronted with a problem. They don't dwell on problems. When you watch YouTube and most of the Mukasus media, all our people do is talk about problems. That's all they do. It's problem. That's all YouTube is. It's just, it feeds negative spirit forces. Do not talk about a problem if you're not willing to talk about the solution. Because if you're just talking about problems, then that's gossip and slander. And a true Nawapian does not gossip, and a true Nawapian does not slander. A true Nawapian is always focused on finding solutions to problems. Now, of course, we have all kinds of problems, right? The number one problem is the master teacher's kidnapped, taken for us by the Mukasu and put it in his wretched prison system, his economic slave system that he has our people in. That's a huge problem. And we should be doing whatever it takes to brainstorm to come up with the right solutions. That's what a true Nawapian is all about. Okay, so that's number one, your goal. That's your first goal. Raise yourself. Get yourself right. You can't help no one if you don't get yourself right. So that's goal number one. Goal number two is to fight Leviathan. We're at war with Leviathan, right? This includes working to free Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, promoting Wu-Sabat, and become a student teacher and fight the 6 strongest weapons of Leviathan, which are what? Leviathan, first thing Leviathan do, these are the 6 ether spirit forces. When they invade us, right, it creates ignorance in the consciousness. 6 ether, which is a weaker force, reduces your ability, your conscious awareness. Okay, it puts you in a state of ignorance. That's step one. So that's the first thing that 6 ether forces did to us, did to our people. Okay, so we're now walking around ignorant. The next attribute we inherit that 6 ether puts in us when people are in a state of ignorance, the next thing is fear. People fear the unknown. They fear what they don't comprehend. That's why death is such a huge tool used by 6 ether forces, because they know now you're ignorant about the other realities of existence, that death really, you can't kill no one. The physical body, is material of the planet Earth, but you have a spirit and a soul that's able to transcend one density to the next. But when you lose your spiritual consciousness, you don't know that. And so you're afraid of death. Everyone's running around the planet afraid of death. And that's why the Mukasu has been able to use his weapons against us effectively. And we succumb because of our fear that he's going to kill you. So ignorance, first Leviathan puts ignorance in the mind. With ignorance comes fear. When you have people in a state of fear, what comes after fear? Ego. When people are afraid, when an individual is afraid because they're worrying about themselves, And when you focus on yourself so much, you become self-centered, and it perpetuates your ego. And that's why we live on a planet where everybody's focused on the self. So from ignorance perpetuates the fear. From the fear perpetuates the ego. What comes after the ego? When somebody's worrying about themselves, what comes after that is lust and desires. And we see that all over the world. Individuals who are consumed by their ego, they're addicted to lust. They want stuff. This is what controls the Mukasu. That's why they want to control all the resources on the planet, because of their lust. And their lust is perpetuated by their ego. Ego is manifested through fear, and fear comes from ignorance. And when you're someone ruled by lust, what comes after lust? The next attribute of Leviathan is lies and deception. People will lie, cheat, and steal to feed their lust, to get what they want. We've said, like, that's what people will do. They'll lie, cheat, and steal to get what they want, to feed their lust. So that's the what? The fifth attribute of Leviathan. First one is ignorance. Second one is fear. Third one is ego. Fourth one is lust. Fifth one is lies and deception. And the last one, when you're lying and deceiving people, what does that create? The next attribute, anger and bloodshed. And that's why we live on a planet with nothing but bloodshed, because of so much anger. And people are angry and they shed blood because they've been lied, tricked, deceived, hoodwinked. And that's what's causing all the conflicts. And that is how sixth ether controls the planet. And so when you look at humanity and you look at yourself in the mirror, you see that you have these attributes moving through your personality. And only Wu-Sabat, only right knowledge can cure you of that, because right knowledge puts you in a state of sound reasoning where you deal with reality of existence, not beliefs and fairy tales, which is what religion has done to the planet. Religion has the whole planet dealing with fairy tales and beliefs. And so our people do not understand what they're up against. This is what makes the master teacher the master teacher. Because he's explaining that all of humanity on earth are possessed by these spirit forces. And only one who has the right knowledge will know how to overcome these lower forces. And as I just brought up, I said, what did I say? I'm looking for the true Nawapians, right? The master teacher, they put that update out that, where the true Nawapians. To all true Nawapians of Wu-Sabat. Because we're all in this together. All of us are plagued by Leviathan. We're in this together. He says, you all are now living in the image of the beast, the devil. What happened to you? That means Leviathan is moving through our organization. And listen, this is, like I said it before, this is nothing new. The master's been saying this about us from day one. He's been saying about, listen, he's had a difficult time trying to help us because of the possession that we're all under. We just haven't been able to figure out how to overcome Leviathan within our personality. I mean, that's just the actual facts. It's sad, but it's the truth. And the only way you can overcome a situation if you're willing to confront the truth of it and deal with the reality of it. Most of the scrolls that we put out in the early 2000s, 2000, 2001, 2002, the master put his introduction. This is breaking the spell, right? Breaking the spell on the blacks. And he puts the introduction. All you gotta do is get any of our books that came out in those years, 2001, 2002, 2004, 5, 6, right? Get any of those books that came out. He has the author's note. And what does he say in the author's note? He says, I have devoted my visit to this planet to the resurrection of the mentally dead, right? Because we're mentally dead. We've lost our right knowledge, right? We're not what we used to be as Cushites, as Kemites, Egyptians, when we were building pyramids and running effective societies. Now, look at our countries all over Africa, all in the Caribbean, from Haiti to Jamaica to Trinidad to Tobago. All of them are servants of the Mukasu. All the leaderships, except for, I guess, what the brothers are trying to do in the Sahel, right? Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso, they claim they're trying to fight back. The problem is their fight is going to be difficult because they don't have right knowledge. They're still dealing with religion. That's why he has to worry about people trying to assassinate him and people within his society. It's hard to know who to trust. Because that sixth ether is like the Matrix movie. Anyone can be an agent. You know, when you watch the Matrix and they chasing Neo and if somebody be, you know, I don't know, working in the store or whatever, making, you know, selling groceries, next thing you know, they transform into an agent. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with, because our people do not understand these spirits and how you can be possessed to turn against your own. And we've seen it in our own organization. So don't say it's not real. We see it all the time. That's why the master teaches where he's at, because individuals in our own organization got possessed, right? Six Ether took over their consciousness, and they went to the dragon himself, the devil himself, for a solution. That's Six Ether at its best. So what did he say in the author's note? He said, I have devoted my visit to this planet to the resurrection of the mentally dead, which I affectionately refer to as mummies. Never did I know that the evil one, look at that, never did I know, he said, that the evil one had done such a great job with these people, both mentally and physically, as to have them hate self and kind. He says, here, look what he says, my greatest dilemma and hindrance has been the black devil, born amongst you and by you, married to you, socializing with you, praying in the same sacred houses of worship as you, but secretly they have a spiritual pact with the devil. That's Leviathan moving through them. These are individuals who claim to be about it, but they still want to go to the club. They still want to cut up. They really don't want to create an environment, right? A Nawapian community, because they rather live under the rule of the devil. They don't want to be honest about it. They'll claim to be, I'm with you, I'm down with you, but really they don't want to. This has been my personal experience. You know, that's why I said I've been doing this for over 3 decades, 36 years. I've seen it. I lived in the community. I've seen it. And I'm not perfect. I'm dealing with the same. We're all dealing with these forces. But the question is, are you willing to fight it? Are you working to fight it? Are you working to clean yourself? Fix yourself? It's not easy. I know it's not easy. You know, we've been dealing with this, the master says, 6,000 years. So it's been passed on from genetics to genetics to genetics. We've got 6,000 years of this messed up genetics moving through us. So I get it. It's not simple. And the job the master teacher had was a serious job. But I'll say this, look what he did. He was able to transfer his consciousness into our doctrine and distribute that consciousness throughout the globe. So now the whole world has access to Wu-Sabat, to right knowledge. And it becomes us, our job as students of Wu-Sabat, to become a mouthpiece for the world. We should not be marginalized as an organization the way we are right now. We have the most powerful doctrine on earth, and yet our people do not understand it. Why? Because we're not functioning the way we're supposed to function. As a how can I say? As a nation, the master set us up to operate as a nation, and we're not. And this is a big issue. You know, what's that? Master Secrets number 18. Let's go to Master Secrets number 18. Master Secrets number 18. Where we at? Master Secrets number 18. Here we are. And he had Master Secrets number 18, parts 1 and 2. What does it say? Look what this says. Master Secrets number 18. A nation of our own. We're supposed to be functioning as a nation, family. Why are we not functioning as a nation? Why are we not functioning as a nation, family? I'll tell you why. Because we're dealing with 6 ether moving through us. So the master teacher said, what? We're looking for the true Nuwapians, right? To all true Nuwapians, the Wu-Sabat. Again, this came out January 8th, 2025. It's no joke. I know this is, it's, but listen, I'm here. I'm not giving up. It's no joke. It's very difficult. This is a very difficult task because we're fighting Leviathan and we're on a planet possessed. We're on a planet possessed by these spirit forces. So it's a serious battle because we're fighting a battle outside of us and we're fighting a battle inside of us. Because we got to deal with our own spirit issues within our own personality and nature, right? And then we're fighting the dragon and all his minions. So, but this is our situation. This is the war. So I'm gonna go back to the coach again. I'm back every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Right? We're gonna have these discussions on the culture. The focus is we're looking for the true Nuwapians, those who really want to live the culture. That's my goal. That's what I'm doing this for, the true Nuwapians who really want to live the culture, not individuals who call themselves Nuwapians, call themselves Sabians, but they're really not trying to live the culture. And that's for different reasons, because we're all dealing with Leviathan. Some people can't overcome their bad habits. And listen, we're here to help. Listen, our job is to help all of our people. I'm here for that. That's why I do these discussions. I'm here. If you are true, if you really want to correct yourself, So I said before, we as a Nuwapian, you have 3 goals: raise yourself, right? Fix yourself. Goal number 2 is to fight Leviathan. We're fighting these spirit forces, the 6 attributes of Leviathan I just talked about: ignorance, fear, ego, our lust/desires, lies/deception, and anger/bloodshed. Those are the attributes of Leviathan that's plaguing the whole planet. It's within all of us. You have to overcome it. We succeed as a part of all. We fail as individuals. What's goal number 3? Work to build Sabbatia. Goal number 3, work to build Sabbatia. We work to support each other in businesses. We help each other reach positive goals. We help to build our culture. We must set up a landing zone for Panatharu in Africa, which means we need land in Africa that would be supported by an African government. We have to make a name for ourselves again as Sabians. We have to become known and respected once again. While the master was here, we were respected because we were functioning as a body, as a strong body. We must become true Nuwapians. And so we will have these discussions. We will have these talks. My goal is to do my best to help with the raising of the consciousness, because that's what this is all about, right? It's about us raising our consciousness, because we've lost our minds. And when you lose your mind, you lose your soul. Your soul is what connects you to who and what you are by genetics. When you give up your natural nature, the master came to restore our soul, which is our divine consciousness. It's what connects us with our ancestors, Pa Natharu. Pa Natharu Mozaku will only communicate with those who identify with them. I repeat, Pa Natharu will only communicate, the Mozaku will only communicate with those who identify with them. If you don't identify with them, they ignore you. The master teachers made that clear. That's why none of our people out there really have any communication with Mozaku, because they don't know anything about them. We forgot who our ancestors were. Why you think in ancient Kemet we built all those big monuments and statues of our ancestors so that we would never forget who our ancestors are? Now our people don't want nothing to do with Egypt. They don't acknowledge it at all. You got Sudanese in Sudan right there. They don't acknowledge their own ancestors. I'm like, people like Dr. Ben and Sheikh Anta Diop, these guys are fighting for years to bring back the awareness to black people that we are the original Egyptians. And our people don't want to hear it because of the Bible made Egypt to be the bad guy. Well, bad, peace. No, you didn't miss the Diddy. You didn't miss the Diddy portion versus the master teacher. I got sidetracked into talking about the culture. I only talked about a little bit. It's for and I keep telling you, my beloved Marsha, the master teacher's name is, as you can say, Mr. York. You can say Mr. Malachi York. He don't go by the name Dwight. That was a childhood name that he used growing up. As he was an adult, he never used that name. That was when he was young. I don't know why people keep doing that. If someone changes their name or corrects their name, whatever, we should respect that. We was just anybody. He was only. That's a whole nother discussion. I want to get into the name thing and all, but we should respect. We should respect that. I will respect you, and I'm not going to call no one out their name. You know. But with that being said, no. As far as the cases, you know, because I got into the culture thing and the culture of Wu-Sabat. But as far as dealing with the case, and when it comes to this Puff Daddy case, and you know, he was charged with RICO, right? Puff Daddy was charged with RICO. They say RICO, Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organization Act. Charges, the central charge against Combs was racketeering and conspiracy under the RICO Act, blah, 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 right? It said the federal law originally targeted organized crime like the mafia. So that's why that law was created. It was created to go after the mafia. And they started to use this law to go after individuals. So my point is, what I'm trying to explain is that they used a law that was designed to go after criminal organizations, and they started to use this law to target specific individuals. So Puff Daddy was one of the, you know, an individual that they used that law to target. You know, R. Kelly, same thing. They used the RICO law to target R. Kelly. He wasn't a part of no criminal organization. He was an individual. But what I was explaining, the reason why they use this law, right, for individuals, because if they can get a conviction with this, using this law, then they can take all your possessions, anything that you're connected with. So, meaning if Puff Daddy actually got convicted of the RICO, but he didn't, right? Because they said Puff Daddy has like $400 million. If he got a guilty charge on a RICO, they was able to take all his money, his $400 million. But because the jury realized that this New York jury was a smart jury. They realized that, okay, why are you guys charging the government? Why is the government charging this guy as a criminal organization? And they have no evidence of him running a criminal organization. You don't charge an individual with a violating a law at running a criminal organization. He was doing his thing as an individual. He wasn't running no criminal organization. That's why they didn't convict him, but they convicted R. Kelly. And it's like a crapshoot. If you get racist white people on the jury, which what Dr. York got, because he got charged the same thing as running a criminal organization. If we was a criminal organization, you had a whole bunch of Nawapians in jail that you don't. That have been put on charges that you don't. We didn't have a criminal organization. But they used that law because they wanted to take all of Dr. York's possessions. In particular, they wanted to take our land. That's why the federal government came after him. They wanted to take the land, which is what they did, to stop the movement because of the fact that the city that we were in, the county, Putnam County, Eatonton, Georgia, where we were based out of, were threatened by us because we were growing and we began to really buy property and begin to have political influence. We became a serious threat to that town. And the last thing white people want is some black organization taking over their town. And that's what started this whole thing with the federal government. Now, of course, Dr. York was charged by the federal and the state. The state where Dr. York was charged by the state was this whole molestation issue. The federal, when they charged Dr. York, they was charging him with sex trafficking, which no one in the organization, none of the so-called victims said they were being trafficked for sex. They just made up the crime. They just charged Dr. York with a crime that no one said he was committed. They only did that. I'm talking about the federal government now. They only did that because, like I said, they wanted to be able to take all of his possessions so that they can take the land. That's what the case was all about, at least the RICO charges. And that's what they did to R. Kelly. That's what they tried to do to Puff Daddy. It didn't work this time. But it usually works because they said that the federal government has like a 90% conviction rate. It usually works. And there was a federal prosecutor out of California. It was a brother. He said when they brought the charges, because he was around when they brought the charges against Puff Daddy, he was like, he was saying, why are they using this? Why are they using these charges? Why are you using RICO to go after them? I'm like, he didn't violate RICO. And so my point is the government will just make up a crime and charge you with that crime, knowing that the people on the jury are not intelligent enough civically, because most Americans have no knowledge of civics. They make sure the American population is ignorant about law in this country. And that's why the government gets away with a lot of, people putting people in the jail, because most of the population is ignorant to the laws here. And that's why the United States is known for having the largest prison population on the globe, because the prison or the prison system or the so-called justice system in the United States is a business. It has nothing to do with correcting the wrongs of society, which is technically what the prison was supposed to be about. How do we fix the bad people in society? What can we do to fix these issues, right? That's not what the prison system is. In this country and most countries around the planet, they've turned it into a business. And being that black people have the least political power and the least economic strength, and we're the biggest enemy to the Caucasian, they use it against us, because the prison system, as we know it, started right after slavery. For those who are familiar with the story, all you gotta do is watch that what's that documentary on HBO called 13, the 13th Amendment. This is the issue. You know, justice, real justice, is about fixing the negative or bad behavior in the society. United States so-called justice system has nothing to do with that. It's about making money for to pay their judges, to pay the prosecutors, to pay the prison guards, to pay the clerks that work in the court. It's an economic scheme. The United States prison system is nothing but an economic scheme, along with the police department. All of it is. All the cars that the police department buy, the Ford cars they buy, the guns. Who they buying the guns from? Beretta. You know how much money it is? It's in crime in this country. If they really cared about killing people and molesting people, then they would release the Epstein files. You think they care about that? The United States kills people every single day, murdering, sending people out to murder. They don't go to jail. They're murdering people every single day. You think they care about that? You think they care about the suffering of black people when they're the foundation of our suffering in this country? They can care less about black children or whatever. They're the originators of molesting black children. But we fall for propaganda. That's why we say our people are mentally dead. We're easily brainwashed by propaganda. So they put it on the news and they make movies and do all kinds of things to mess up our brains and get us to turn against ourselves. And so while we're debating and arguing among ourselves that you see on YouTube, right? That's all we do is attack one another, and we just ignore our real adversary, which is the Mukasu, who's creating all of these problems we're dealing with. There were no pimping and hoeing in Africa back in the day. We didn't have drive-by killings and gang banging. All of the problems we're dealing with did not exist. We have problems, whether you want to say we were in America or whether you want to say we're from Africa. Yes, we had issues. Most of the issues were tribal conflicts. But we didn't have the issues we got going on today. Didn't Dr. York take the land from a woman? I don't know what kind. How does that make any sense? I don't know where would you get that from? I'm not talking about whatever Puffy was accused of doing or what Dr. York was accused of doing. I'm talking about the law that they charged them with. That's what I'm talking about. And then my point was, for those who want the truth, Dr. York never trafficked any children. That's one of the biggest lies in the whole case. He never trafficked children, nor did that ever come up in the case. And the FBI admitted that there is no so-called victim who claimed to be molested said they were being trafficked, right? Like prostitution. No one said that was happening, but the government charged them with that crime. And as I said, what our people don't understand, y'all really don't understand the United States legal system. You know, that's really the problem. It's the ignorance of the people. Is that our people are ignorant. And so, like this guy right here, I need to look this guy. I talked about him before. Harvey Silvergate. He's a law professor. Harvey Silvergate. He's a law professor. He also is a defense attorney. He wrote a book called 3 Felonies a Day. He explains in his book that the government create laws on purpose, a whole bunch of laws, so that they can charge you with anything, anytime they want to charge you with something. If they see you as a threat or they don't like you for whatever reason, they can put charges on you. And that's why he says 3 felonies a day. He says when you walk out your house, from the time you get back home, you committed 3 felonies a day and you don't even know it, because there's so many laws on the book, you have no idea of all these laws. And one of the main laws in United States law is ignorance to the law is no excuse. So people don't realize we're violating law every day because they put so many laws on the book for the purpose of being able to charge people whatever they want to charge them, however they want to charge them. And we're just ignorant about it. I mean, we're just painfully ignorant, actually. Look it up, family. 3 felonies a day. Harvey Silvergate. Our people better wake up. The problem is we, as woolly-haired melanated people, should not be allowing the Mukasu Europeans to rule us. We supposed to be too smart for that. These people are our adversaries. We cannot live with them in harmony. All they do is abuse us. And as black men, why? And I did a lecture on this. Why do black men allow white men to rule us? That, like, we're not a man. We're not men. It's sad. It's very sad. And we have so much self-hate that we keep attacking one another and getting on one another. And that's all YouTube is. If you look at all the YouTube lectures out there, all we do is viciously attack one another. Like right now, everyone is attacking Umar Johnson because he was talking about how he didn't have no money. And they just vicious attacks against him. One YouTube channel after another. And it's nothing but black people. White people don't have to do nothing. Because all we do is we do his job for him now. We're so vicious towards each other. Show no mercy, and we just let white people do all kind of devilishment to us each and every day. The fact that we pay taxes every day and we get nothing for those taxes and we say nothing about it. How about that one? We give the white man our tax money every single day. You buy something, they're taking tax. You buy some potato chips. They say that potato chips cost $1. They charge you $1.25. They took an extra 25 cents from you for what? To finance a government that abuses us. But we don't have no heat for that. We don't making no lectures on that. You don't see no YouTube talking about let's boycott taxes. Let's stop paying. Black people need to stop paying taxes since the United States government don't do anything for us. They won't acknowledge reparations. They won't do nothing. But we'll talk about boycotting now. We're talking about boycotting Africans. This is the self-hate that we've been dealing with. And this self-hate goes back 6,000 years, the master teacher explained. You find black on blacks. You got Egypt and Nubia, ancient Kush, warring with each other. Negroes killing Negroes thousands of years ago. It's a sickness. And the master teacher made it clear. This sickness has been going on for 6,000 years, that we're under a spell, a deep spell of self-hate and massive ignorance because our people are possessed. They're literally possessed by these negative spirit forces. And this is the issue. So I repeat, family, for those who don't know, I am back. We are back every Tuesday, right? Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be having these discussions. My main focus is the culture of Wu-Sabat. We're looking for the true Nawapians who truly want to live the culture of Wu-Sabat. because our culture is the only solution to this problems we're dealing with, right? To all true Nawapians, so Wu-Sabat, that's what we're looking for, the true Nawapians who really want to live the culture and all. That's what I've been talking about. This is what we're going to be going over every single Tuesday. We're going to focus on the culture, and I'm going to go by detail because there's so much to cover. It's a lot. It's a lot to cover. We put out so much information. So we're gonna deal with the culture of Wu-Sabat. You know, as I said, the challenge that Sabians are having is you guys are dealing with Leviathan. I repeat, Leviathan deals with 6 attributes. Ignorance, it creates ignorance in the mind. It perpetuates fear. We are fear-based people. It perpetuates the ego. Our people are, everyone's self-righteous now. Our people are ego fanatics. Just watch YouTube, you'll see it. We are ego fanatics. It's sad. You see it in the entertainment world. It's everywhere. It's sickness. It's a sickness. Like in Africa, look all the African leaders, all the black leaders in the Caribbean. They're ego fanatics. They don't care nothing about their people. They just let their people suffer, and they just siphon wealth and power. It's a sickness that we have. Ego fanatics, and because they're possessed. This is they're possessed. Look at us with lust. Look at us now. We're just as bad as the Mukasa when it comes to lust. You know? And we're nothing but liars. We lie like the best of them today. And we have no problem killing one another. We are possessed people. That's just the reality of it. And only the culture of Wu-Sabat can fight the negative possessions that we're dealing with. That's why we're looking for the true Nawapians who really want to do this work in fighting Leviathan. How do we think we're going to get the master teacher out? He's been good. Look how long they've had him. As I read earlier, it is your divine mind. Only the 9 mind can overcome the 6. 6 ether is what captured the master teacher. Only 9 ether can free him. We have not been able to free him over 2 decades now. Why? Because we're not embodied our 9 mind. And you cannot be someone who's in their 9 mind and you don't develop yourself spiritually. If you're not doing the spiritual development, the breathing exercises, the rhythmic breathing, the meditation, the prayers, the chants, making contact with Panatharu, calling on your ancestors, acknowledging them, they will help. They will download right knowledge into your mind. And the very first thing, as you're getting this right knowledge, you know what you're supposed to be doing? Do y'all know what you're supposed to be doing? As your mind is correcting yourself, is to come together. We're supposed to be coming together as a community again, looking for other true Nawapians to work with. We're supposed to be working together. But we're not doing that. Why? Because we're choosing not to be true Nawapians. We're choosing not to be true Nawapians. True Nawapians, we will come together. We'll work together collectively, you know, so that we can really create an action plan to solve the challenges that we're dealing with. That's why, you know, I'm doing this work. I'm doing this work, and I'm going to continue to do this work for the true Nawapians. Looking for the true Nawapians. I said before, I put this in our cultural principles I talk about, right? And I always read this, right? And I'm going to read it again. I read it earlier. This doctrine is based on self-authentication, right? How do you know the doctrine is true? Self-authentication. You can't authenticate the doctrine unless you do spiritual work. That's how you would know the actual facts, the Patanaks, everything the master teacher is putting out is actual facts. Through your spiritual development, you connecting with your oversoul, you connecting yourself with Panatharu, they will download this information into your mind. Your reasonability will expand if you're serious about spiritual work. Okay. If you're not serious about spiritual work, then the doctrine is just a bunch of beliefs to you, and you won't live by it, adhere to it, or promote it. This is the problem that we're dealing with. The challenge is, while we're not seeing the results we should see, or the unity we should see among us as a being, is we're not adhering to the principles of our spiritual development. That's just the reality of it. So I say this. It says, know that we are not preachers, but teachers who are dedicated to answering questions until there's a meeting of the minds between the teacher and student, who then, here's the key, who then can work in unity, which is the only solution to our problems. Right? We succeed as a part of all, we fail as individuals. The master teachers always talked about that. As Africans, as Native Americans, we always lived as a tribal community. We always lived as communities, living up for and by ourselves. The problem is all of these foreign cultures that we have accepted all over the globe: capitalism, communism, socialism, Marxism, fascism. We're doing everything that the Mukasu gives us. None of that has anything to do with us. None of their isms, all their so-called society systems they got that they created. Our culture, right, on the planet Earth, and our celestial culture is based on the principles of Ma'at, based on the wisdom of the Hutri. That's our culture. It's our celestial culture, and it's our terrestrial culture. Our society is based on the principles of Ma'at and the wisdom of the Hutri. And I'm not talking about the 42 laws of Ma'at that most of our people, they don't understand the principles of Ma'at, because they bring up the 42 negative confessions. You say those negative confessions because you're following the principles of Ma'at. The principles of Ma'at is for order, because universal order. In order to have universal order, you have to have balance. Everything in nature is based on balance: the positive, the proton, and the electron, right? Positive, negative forces, right? Centripetal force, centrifugal force, pushing and pulling forces. That's it. You have to have that. That creates balance within nature. When you have that balance, you have order, right? Now, from balance, you have to have what? Justice. Justice is able to make just decisions. Those who are able to make just decisions are able to create balance, and that balance perpetuates order. That's what the whole court system comes in with the judges. The judges supposed to be able to make just decisions that create balance within society, and you have an orderly society. That's why I was saying that the prison system is supposed to create order in a society, to fix the problems, the justices, the judges. But they're corrupt. This is one of the most corrupt societies on the planet. Their prison system is about money and economics, has nothing to do with justice. And our people feed this disgusting system. We feed it. We itching for people to go to jail. Why are you itching for black people to go to jail when white people commit all these damn same crimes and nothing happens? All they do, I keep telling you, all they do is murder and kill. That's all they do. They don't go to jail. Trump and them is killing right now. They're sending all those weapons to Israel to murder those people out there. Oh, excuse me. I think they say you can't use that name, whatever. Listen, they send weapons all over the world to murder people. Trump said the Supreme Court said presidents are able to do whatever the hell they want. So they have assassins. This nation have nothing but murderers that go around murdering for them in this country and around the world. Nothing happens to them. But that's okay. They go around raping, murdering, robbing, stealing. That's what they do. That's what they do. It's all right for them to do it. It's not all right for us to do it. And we jump on our people when they're committing these so-called crimes, but yet say nothing when the Mukasu commit the same crimes. They do it every day, and they tell you they're doing it. They tell you, we just dropped the bomb on so-and-so. We just kidnapped so-and-so. We just took so-and-so and threw him in a jail cell with nothing, with no due process, nothing. Just snatching right now. They're just snatching people off the street. And we don't say nothing about it. But yet we attack our own people when they say we violated their laws. First of all, people, we have nothing to do with their laws. And that's the brainwash. That's the problem. Our people have been brainwashed because we keep sending our children to their schools to be brainwashed, and we think we're part of their society, and we're not. We never petitioned this government to be citizens. We never did that. They created their own law, so-called 14th Amendment, and said we are citizens. No, we're not. You have to apply for that. We didn't choose that. Why are you choosing to be a citizen of a nation who's your enemy? These people are our enemy. 1865, when they created that law, these were our enemies. How are they going to tell us we're now part of their government and we got to listen to them? We got to listen to them. Our people are only doing that because of severe ignorance. Literally, I mean, think about what they did to us during slavery. During slavery, we were not permitted to have any kind of knowledge. They literally made us ignorant. And unfortunately, most of us are still ignorant to this day, do not understand the system. And they brainwashed us through their media and their educational system that we keep sending our children to. That's the actual facts. But family, I ain't see nobody thumbs up. You don't like the lecture? Nobody putting thumbs up. Support, right? Share. Let people know we're back. We're going to be back every Tuesday, 7 p.m. sharp, explaining the culture of Wu-Sabat. Ask your questions. Study the lectures. We do these lectures for a reason, to help with your mental resurrection. This is the problem. Our minds are messed up, family. The whole point of the doctrine is to restore your divine consciousness, to start loving yourselves again. Stop making your people the enemy. We're not the enemy. We are sick people right now. We do some sick things. That's true. But we're suffering from mental illness. We can be fixed. We can be fixed. And so study the lectures. Ask questions next week, right? Definitely ask questions, because that's what we're here. I'm going to focus every Tuesday. I'm just going to focus on the culture to help you guys with the culture, to explain Leviathan, to explain the principles of what it means to be a Sabaean, right? Right here. What it means to be a Sabaean. Someone who cares and is passionate about it. Someone who is helpful and honest. Someone who is responsible and hardworking. Someone who is honorable and demands justice. Someone who is righteous and humble. Someone who is excited and cheerful. Someone who is loyal and committed. Someone who is kind and considerate. And someone who is neat, clean, and orderly. These are the principles within our culture and our doctrine. This is what it means to be a Sabaean. This is what we live by. My job is to help us develop that. So we're looking for the true Nawapians, because, as I said, the master teacher has always been complaining about we're not adhering to the cultural principles, right? This is the update. I keep telling you the update. You all are now living in the image of the beast, the devil. What happened to you? From Padabab Yanun. He's asking us. This came out January the 8th, 2025. What happened to us? We're not adhering to our cultural principles. And that's because our people really don't understand how Leviathan is affecting them. And so I'm going to try to do my part, right, to help you comprehend this doctrine, which will help you make better decisions so that you can create a better conditions in your life. But we have to do it as a tribe, as a family. We must come together, because you succeed as a part of all, you fail as individuals. That's the tactics of Western culture, to make everybody an individual. When you're an individual, you're easy to be targeted. That's why they can take us down, because they always divide you into individuals. That's what the system, the Luciferian doctrine is based on that philosophy. We are fighting demons. We're fighting demons. So again, we're going to be wrapping this up. But I'm telling you, family, next week, Tuesday, right? 7 p.m. Have questions. We need to talk to each other. We need to get this. We have the most powerful doctrine on the planet. We're the ones with the right knowledge. But the doctrine is like a stealth bomber to us without manuals. We have this powerful weapon, and we're not utilizing it effectively to transform our lives and our conditions. That's the power of this doctrine, to do just that. Now, I know I started some stuff. I wanted to talk about some things I didn't finish. It's a lot. We'll be back. I'll cover more. I talked about this scroll, this actual fact. No, this is the Master Secrets, number 18. Master Secrets, number 18. A Nation of Our Own, parts 1 and 2. That we're supposed to function as a nation, and we're not. And my job is for us to figure this out. We got to figure this out. We have to figure this out. And we can. That's my point. We can do it. We definitely can do it, family. I'm here. We're back, and we definitely can do it. We're all dealing with problems. I'm dealing with problems. We're all dealing with Leviathan. All of us. All of us is dealing with it. There are no exceptions. But if we work together, we can help each other through it. We can definitely help each other through it. That's my point. That's my point. So I'll leave you with this. This is in the A Nation of Our Own. A Nation of Our Own. He says this. I'm going to start from, might as well just start from the top. And I'll close with this as food for thought. Food for thought. Paragraph 1. My beloved Takum, nation of Yamasi, Nawapians of Wu Nawap, who plan Nawapia of our own, right? We're supposed to have Nawapia. That's our own land. We're living, creating our own, living in our own community, our own environment, under our own cultural conditions. This is the ultimate goal for every true Sabian, right? We say Sabbatia. This is what we're supposed to be working towards. Now, of course, we can't, I don't think, we can't do it in America. We really need to be talking about the continent and getting land on a continent and setting up shop there. That's the better location for us. But it's looking for true Nawapians who really want to live the culture and do this. This is what I'm looking for and calling out. Who is ready for this? To really embrace the culture based on what we're teaching. And that's why we're going to go by book, and our goal is to bring all of us, all of the family together, all of the family together. And for all true Nawapians to show our power, because we are a powerful people. So let me read this. and this is what it's about: a nation of our own. Takwem Shalil and Nunya, a nation of our own. My beloved Takwem of Yamasi, Nawapians, Wunawap, who plan Nawapia of our own. The once enslaved, living in the Sawar image of his slave masters, Za'am, religions and ways of living. You are now Hafush, free, by way of your own teachings, Hazab, culture, Lahaj, language, Wunawap, as Nawapians. Now the first major problem is to cut loose the two slave masters, the Arabu, the Arabs, and the Yarabu, right? Give up their religions that bind your consciousness. Their religions cut you off from your ancestors, family. And we need to explain that to our people. This is why we're not getting no help, because we're not in tune with our ancestors. I told you before, if you don't acknowledge the Mozaku, they don't acknowledge you. If you don't acknowledge the Mozaku, they do not acknowledge you. The masters made that very clear. This is why we're not getting no help. Let's keep going. So they get rid of their religious books, the Quran and their Bibles. Once the Khamim Salau, which is the black race of people, put down the religion of the slave masters and their fictitious deities, right? Teach our people, stop calling Allah, stop calling God, Yahweh, Jehovah, all these ridiculous names that have nothing to do with our ancestors. That's why we always say, start with the ancestors you know. Your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-great-grandfathers. You know they exist. That's in your bloodline. You're able to make contact with them. We used to know how to do that. Wu-Sabat is here to teach you how to reconnect with your real ancestors that are real. Not no fake Jesus, not no fake Allah, not no fake Holy Ghost and Holy Spirits or whatever the heck they got our people calling on. They're calling on demons. And that's why there's no progress. Let's keep going. Right? Once the Khamim Salau, black race of people, reject the physical Sawaya images of the slave masters as leaders, right? Get rid of those Muhammads and Jesus, that white Jesus that got our people worshiping. You know, we literally worshiping the slave master as God. You know, the white man literally convinced our people that he's God and we worship him, that white Jesus. Once the Khamim Salau, wherever returns all other Hazabat cultures, the laws and governments. See that? Their laws and governments have nothing to do with us, family. Once the Khamim Salau people no longer take part in other judicial systems or political systems, their systems have nothing to do with us. I don't know, and we keep crying. They're treating us bad. They're shooting us down. They're not giving us justice. We keep fighting the same fight. I'm like, come on, what's the definition of insanity? Y'all know it. Y'all heard it. Thinking that we're going to get justice from these people. I repeat, their prison system is an economic scheme. It's about making money. And we're the scapegoats they use. Poor people, Negroes, and their enemies. That they want to get rid of their enemies. They use their prison system as a tool. Has nothing to do with justice. So why are we partaking in this insanity? That's because we're under a spell. We're under a hypnotic spell. Let's keep going. All right. Once the Khamim Salau of people stop accepting other educational systems and historical legends, you send your children from kindergarten to 12th grade to be brainwashed, and you're wondering why we're crazy. Because what's that, 13 years from kindergarten to 12th grade? That's 13 years of brainwashing. And they learn nothing about blackness, and they learn everything about white people. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, you name it. I know because my mother's a teacher, my sister's a teacher, my Hamatet wife is a teacher. I know what they're teaching. And they just brainwashing our children. It's sad. They know, and the only thing about blackness they tell you about is our slave history, right? What Harriet Tubman did, who was a slave, what Frederick Douglass did, who was a slave. All of our negative history. We are an ancient people that been on the planet Earth since the foundation of the planet Earth. We have a vast history. You know, just talk about 400 years. That's the problem with all these Negroes talking about I'm FBA. All I'm worried about is my black lineage in America. How insanity is that? All we're concerned about is our slave history. That's it. That's all we are. Really? That's all we are. That's why the master teacher said all of us need to go to Egypt. Everyone needs to see it in with their own eyes and touch those pyramids with your own hands. And you can see with the greatness of your ancestors that you come from an intelligent race of people. You should not settle for nothing less. You come from greatness. You can't convince a child that when all you tell them about is their slave history. And this whole FBA movement is all about getting reparations from white people. These people said they're not giving us a dime. Why are we wasting our time? We rather fight and divide ourselves with the hopes of these people writing a check. Are we insane? Yeah, we are. We're really insane. Waiting on a check from our enemy who to this day they said they're not paying us nothing. But we want a check. That's that slave mind. Let's keep going. Paragraph 9. Once the Chamem Salah of people realize who they really are, not what others taught them to think they are, all their problems will be solved and must now with Wu-Nawab as Nawapians do for self and kind. That's what we must do. Y'all hear that? We must do for self and kind. Stop begging other people for stuff. This is crazy. The slave master, the Arab-U and the Yarab-U, the Europeans, should no longer be ruling over them. They, as the Chamem Salah of people, must become responsible for self and kind as a Taqwim or Taqwam, a Shabbat, right? We need to stop begging. I'm like, even Christians, what do Christians teach? God bless the child who has his own. Why are we begging our slave masters to do something for us? You know we're sick. You know we're sick. Do for ourselves. The United Nawapian Nation of Yamasi must solve their own problems, live their own culture, accept their own religion, animism, know their own Gada'u, deities, who are their Salafu, our ancestors, right? I keep telling you, the Mozaku. The Mozaku will acknowledge you if you acknowledge them. They will acknowledge you if you acknowledge them. That's how it works. You don't acknowledge them, you don't exist to them. That's how it works. That's why they sent the master teacher, so that to teach you how to acknowledge your ancestors, not these fake unknown spirit forces. The scroll I'm reading from is The Master Secrets, number 18, part 1. The Master Secrets, number 18, part 1, for those who do not know. So on page 4, I'll show you, because I want you to see the scrolls. I always let you see where I'm getting the information from. The Master Secrets, number 18, part 1, A Nation of Our Own. Know this. Get this scroll. Read it. Study it. Know it. I'm giving you where the information is. Every student teacher should show you where they're getting their information from. Every student teacher should show you what actual book. That's why if you're studying my lectures, I'm always showing you the actual scroll and where I'm getting the information from, so no one can say we're making it up. All student teachers should be doing that, so that people can research it and see in our doctrine for themselves, for their own personal edification. That is a teaching tool and skill set that I see a lot of student teachers make that mistake. That's why I like this YouTube thing where I can show my screen and show the actual books. And I painstakingly have scanned these books, and it takes a lot of time. Trust me, I've been doing this for years. It takes a lot of time, but I put in the work because I want you all to have access and see this knowledge, not just hear my voice. I'm not a preacher. I'm not here to preach to nobody. Let's keep going. Where am I at now? Let's see. Paragraph 9. Let's see. Once the Chamim Salah of people realize who they really are not what others taught them to think they are, right? All their problems will be solved. And must now, with Wu-Nawab as Nawapians do for self and kind. The slave master, the Arab-U and the Yarab-U, the Europeans, should no longer be ruling over them. They, as the Chamim Salah of people, must become responsible for self and kind as a Taqwam, a Shabat, a nation of our own, right? The United Nawapian nation of Yamasi must solve their own problems, live their own culture, accept their own Za'am, religion, animism, know their own Gadao, deities, who are their Salafu ancestors. They must now, from 2000 onward, realize that they must work hard for self and kind, knowing you have no equal. In others, you predate them all. You do not seek equality with those less than yourselves as the very first race of people on earth. They, the Arab-U and or the Yarab-U, can never equal up to your divine being, physically or mentally. They are heathens. They are unable to be civilized, Adamu, right? Because all they do is war. Look at them. All they do is war. They're obsessed with warfare. You know? They're a warrior race. They know that they're a warrior race. They war, fight. We must do for ourselves. We have a whole continent. Look at all these countries we have in the Caribbean: Haiti, Barbados, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, all of these. But our people all over the globe are miseducated. All of them are brainwashed. We have our work cut out. Just, if you understand, the war is against Leviathan. These are spirit forces we're dealing with. This is where the behavior is coming from. And we're going to keep talking about this week after week until y'all get it, until you realize to deal with the spirits within yourself. And once you do that, you can help your family and friends. But you got to fix yourself first, right? Goal number one of in the culture of Wu-Sabat is raise the self. Fix yourself first. Goal number two, fight Leviathan. Goal number three is to find true Nawapians so we can work together. I'll repeat. Goal number one, fix yourself. Clean yourself inside out. Get yourself right. Goal number two, get in this fight with Leviathan. Right? We got to work the freedom master teacher. We got to work to educate our people, help them overcome Leviathan. And goal number three, we have to work to create an environment, our own community, so that we can live our culture. We can't live our culture under their system. We're slaves to their system. That's just the reality of it. But that's it, family. We did our time. We're going to be back. I'm telling you, we're going to be back next week, right? Next week, 7 p.m. We're going to be focusing on the culture every single Tuesday. We're going to focus on the culture every single Tuesday, Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Be ready, be ready, be ready. With that being said, Wadu, I love you all. I love our people, man. I love black people. That's the key. You have to fall in love with blackness. Once you fall in love with blackness, When you look at the negative stuff that we do, because we love doing negative stuff to each other, you focus on the solution, not the problem. That's what we have to learn to do. You watch YouTube, you watch all the social media, all our people, all they do is talk about problems and not solutions. Only our unity will allow us to fix our problems. Our division perpetuates our problems. We are messed up as a people because we allow ourselves to be brainwashed by our enemies. We allow our children to be brainwashed by our enemies. And once you put your children through their system, their brainwashing school system, and introduce them to the media, the toxic poison media, you mess up their consciousness. So by the time they're teenagers, you lost them and they become demons. And that's what we're dealing with. Our people, we're dealing with a race of black devils all over the globe who hate themselves and think nothing of harming one another. But that's our battle. This is our planet Earth, and only we can fix it. No one else. Those with the right knowledge can fix it. We have the right knowledge. With that being said, family, Wadu, much love. Be strong, and I will see ya all next week. As they say, peace, 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 peace.